Welcome to Wisdom Unveiled.
Yeah.
In our deep dive today, we're going to be continuing our exploration into Iranian philosophers.
Okay.
And we're going to be focusing today specifically on Hafez Shirazi.
Excellent.
And we're going to be drawing from the Marifat audio files.
Okay.
So these are the conversations between Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani.
Yes.
And just a disclaimer as we're going into this, these are translated conversations. And some of the details and the nuances might not translate perfectly. So we apologize for any discrepancies that may arise.
Yes, it's a privilege and also a challenge to engage with poetry across languages, and that's what's so fun about it.
Yeah. And in this deep dive, this is the fourth in our series of 40.
Wow.
And we are focusing solely on Hafez from these Marifat audio recordings.
Okay.
So we're going to be going right to the beginning, to the first Ghazal in his divan.
Great.
Have you ever started something thinking it would be easy, only to discover unexpected complexities? I think that feeling, that gap between what we anticipate and what actually unfolds, that's exactly where Hafez starts in this Ghazal.
Right. Yeah. And I think, this idea that we begin often with hope and optimism.
Yeah.
And then we meet the realities of whatever the journey or the pursuit might be.
Yeah.
That's a pretty universal experience, and I think that's part of his genius that he starts right there.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah.
And he does it in such a unique way, too.
Okay.
The very first line of this Ghazal, it's what's called a mulama, isn't it?
That's right.
And from what I understand, a mulama means that it blends different languages within a single line.
That's right. Yeah, mulama is it's a technique where you're weaving together different linguistic threads.
Yeah.
In this case, we have Arabic and Persian woven together in the very first line.
Yeah, the Arabic part is sharek set,
Right, which translates to, "Oh, you cupbearer, bring the cup and offer it around."
Okay, and then the Persian flows from that with ik, hake. H dujluga, meaning that love seemed easy at first, but then difficulties arose.
Right.
It's such a potent combination, like immediately, right off the bat.
Right.
He's introducing key ideas about love and its journey.
And I think importantly for the listener, it sets us up for a discussion not about just any love, but mystical love.
Right.
This deep yearning for the divine.
Yeah.
And we're going to be really playing with that contrast.
Yeah.
Between sort of that initial attraction.
Yeah.
And then the profound challenges that love brings.
Yeah.
And then also, I think we should say, we're going to be looking at the Saqi and the cup.
Yeah.
Because those are just rich with meaning.
Okay, so let's delve right into that.
Okay.
When Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani were discussing the Saqi, the cupbearer, they brought up several interpretations.
Yeah.
What were some of the key understandings of who or what the Saqi represents?
Well, I think that, it's a multifaceted symbol.
Yeah.
And one way to understand it is that the Saqi is the divine itself.
Okay.
The source of existence and love. Another way to understand the Saqi is as a perfect human being.
Right.
A realized soul or a spiritual guide.
Okay.
Who can kind of illuminate the path for others who are seeking.
Okay.
And then a third way to understand the Saqi is as the principle of spiritual guidance itself.
Okay.
So it's not so much a being or a person, but that force that's drawing you toward truth.
Okay. So it could represent the divine or a wise mentor or even our own inner wisdom guiding us.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. And what about the cup?
Yeah.
What is contained within that cup, and what does that signify in this mystical context?
Well, the cup is understood as the vessel that holds divine love and the knowledge of the divine. So it's that transformative experience, that moment of insight into the nature of reality and your connection with the beloved.
And the phrase, Atakasa wa Noella.
Yeah.
This request to bring the cup and offer it around.
Right.
The ongoing nature of that offering seems really important.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to pick up on. It's not a one-time event, right? This isn't a one-time offering.
Right.
The divine love and knowledge are not sort of limited resources or a single event.
Right.
It's an ever-present and endless stream. And so what that suggests, I think, for the listener is that what really matters is the cyclical.
Right.
The constant nature of this divine outpouring.
Right.
Especially when contrasted with the kind of temporary and ever-changing nature of the material world.
So it's about our continuous seeking, our constant receptivity to this divine essence that's always being offered.
Right.
Now, the Persian part of that first line, That love seemed easy at first, but then difficulties arose.
Yeah.
Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani made a point about the word nimud meaning seemed versus bud meaning was.
Right.
Why is that subtle distinction so crucial for us to understand?
Well, I think that the change in language there is so important.
Yeah.
What nimud tells us is that the initial ease of love is often an illusion.
Okay.
It's a superficial impression. It's not that the fundamental nature of love was simple, but rather that it appeared that way to the seeker at the beginning.
Yeah, so it's like that initial spark of attraction or inspiration might feel effortless.
Right.
But as we delve deeper into any meaningful pursuit,
the
complexities begin to surface.
Right.
Yeah. And those moshkela, those difficulties that arise.
Yeah.
What kind of challenges are we talking about here, particularly within the context of this mystical love that Hafez is exploring?
These are the trials that come with any genuine spiritual journey.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this deep yearning for union with the divine.
Yeah.
It's not a comfortable or straightforward path.
Right.
And often it's likened to traversing a very challenging landscape.
Yeah.
One that's filled with both inner obstacles, like our own ego and attachments, and outer trials that test our resolve and ultimately purify the heart.
It's a really powerful picture. It really challenges those conventional ideas that we might have about love.
Yeah.
That it's primarily about comfort and security. This sounds like a much more demanding yet ultimately transformative experience.
Right. I mean, I think that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
Understanding mystical love, as Hafez is presenting it here, it's not about seeking an easier, painless path.
Right.
It's about embracing the difficulties as essential components of the journey.
Yeah.
These challenges are what deepen our connection and refine our being.
Yeah. Moving further into the Ghazal, we encounter the lines H, H-H-A. H-H the old keres, H-A, H-H, H-A-Dizat. Yeah. This can be understood as, by the fragrance of a musk gland, that the morning breeze will finally unfold from that tress. From the twist of his fragrant black tresses, what blood fell into hearts. What beautiful imagery.
Yeah.
The morning breeze and fragrant tresses.
Yeah.
Let's explore that a bit.
Okay.
What does Saba, the morning breeze, typically symbolize in this context?
Saba, the morning breeze, is such a rich symbol in his poetry.
Okay.
And often it acts as a messenger.
Okay.
Carrying good news, the scent of love whispers from the beloved.
Okay.
It can also be seen as a metaphor for divine inspiration.
Okay.
So this gentle stirring of the spirit from a higher realm.
Okay, so it's not just a literal breeze.
No.
It carries a deep spiritual significance.
Right.
And then we have this nafia moski atar, the musk gland.
Yeah.
And the tara, the freshness that unfolds from it.
Right.
What does that represent for us?
Well, that symbolizes the pure essence of love.
Okay.
The inherent fragrance of mystical knowledge and spirituality.
Okay.
That emanates directly from its source. It's a subtle image, but incredibly potent, I think.
Yeah.
Of the beauty and allure that draws the seeker closer.
And then we have Zotabi Jade Meshkanash.
Yeah.
The twist of his fragrant black tresses.
Right.
What do these tresses signify in understanding this Ghazal?
The tresses, I think, can be understood as a metaphor for the multiplicity of the world.
Okay.
You know, the countless ways that divine beauty manifests.
Okay.
So we see all this diversity in the world, different people, experiences, you know, the natural world, all reflecting that single source.
Okay, so it's like we're seeing that interconnectedness within that diversity.
Right.
And then the twist or tab of these tresses, the part that causes blood to fall in hearts, what does that imply for the seeker?
Well, that twist signifies the impact
that
these expressions of the divine have on the hearts of those who are seeking, you know, as you navigate the complexities of the world, striving towards connection.
Right.
These glimpses of beauty can be so captivating and moving and even cause this exquisite wounding of longing and love.
So the mystic perceives an underlying unity, even within all this diversity, whereas someone not on that path might only see separate and distinct parts.
Right, and this is a fundamental difference in how reality is perceived, the seeker and their journey. They start to recognize the oneness that binds all things together, while others remain focused on the divisions of the material world.
Okay, the next line offers another layer to this unfolding journey. Wegesh Kisoke in UK, Ojie wing in Tisojo. This is often translated as, what security of pleasure is there when every moment the bell cries out, that bind up the litters, for the beloved is departing from us. What is this Manzeli-Janan, the abode of the beloved in this specific context?
Well, Manzeli-Janan, the abode of the beloved, I think can be understood as this world.
Okay.
The realm where the divine reveals itself.
Okay.
But Hafez is suggesting that for the true lover, this world is not a place of lasting security or uninterrupted joy.
Yeah, there's that constant sense of movement, of things not being fixed.
Right.
And what about the jaras, the bell that is constantly crying out?
Right. Well, the jaras acts as the sound of a spiritual caravan.
Okay.
That's always in motion, that's always journeying towards the divine.
Okay.
And it serves as a reminder of the fleeting nature of this earthly existence and the continuous need for progress.
Yeah.
Each ring of the bell is a call to keep moving forward.
So those of us who are spiritually awake, we hear that bell and we understand the urgency. And those who are perhaps more absorbed in the material world might not be aware of it.
They might be too preoccupied to heed that deeper call.
Okay, now this next verse takes what might seem like an unexpected turn.
Okay.
And well, charingen, say, he yoikano, yoike, foisoikeda, seme. Hey, he yoikan, yoikan, yo-okan. That translates to, color your prayer rug with wine, if the old sage of the Magians tells you, for the wayfarer is not unaware of the ways and customs of the stations.
The Pir-e Moghan is a central figure in his imagery.
Yeah.
And he represents a perfected human being.
Okay.
A spiritual guide who has walked the path.
Yeah.
And therefore has the wisdom to guide others. Think of him as a seasoned navigator of the spiritual seas.
Okay, so he's like a traveler who has been there, who knows the terrain and is guiding others who are new to it.
Right.
And the instruction to color your prayer rug with wine might sound a bit shocking or unconventional.
It might.
To some. What's happening there?
Well, the wine is not to be taken literally as intoxicating liquor.
Yeah.
It's a symbol of spiritual fervor and passionate love for the divine.
Okay.
And the grace that should infuse even our religious practices.
Right.
The sajada, the prayer rug.
Yeah.
And so it's about bringing a vibrancy, a living enthusiasm to our devotion.
Okay, so even if it appears to go against established norms or conventional thinking, if this Pir-e Moghan advises it, we should trust and follow.
Yes, because what Hafez is emphasizing is the importance of surrender to the guidance of this spiritual master, this wali, or friend of God, this complete human being, even when it challenges our own understanding.
And then the line that follows, Kisalek bekavar nabuvad zera razame manzalia.
Right.
Meaning, for the wayfarer is not unaware of the ways and customs of the stations.
Right.
That really emphasizes the guide's understanding of the journey.
Right. That the Salek, the wayfarer, has an intimate knowledge of the stages, the challenges and the destinations, making their guidance invaluable.
Yeah. So this is like, it brings into focus that distinction between a purely intellectual or philosophical approach to understanding and this mystical path where direct experience is so important.
That's right. Philosophical inquiry relies on reason and intellect.
Yeah.
But what Hafez is emphasizing through this imagery is that the mystic relies on the guide who has direct experience of spiritual realities.
Now we approach the closing lines of this opening Ghazal. Well, just get Isenke. Oh. Isenke. Iche show. Which translates to, dark is the night, and the fear of the waves, and such a formidable whirlpool. How should those light-burdened ones of the shore know our state? What a vivid and intense image of struggle.
Right. I mean, it paints such a powerful picture of the challenge and the danger.
Yeah.
That comes with the spiritual quest and just navigating life itself.
So Shabi Tariq, the dark night.
Yeah.
Bimi Moish, the fear of the waves, and Gurdabi Chonin Hail, such a formidable whirlpool.
Yeah.
These are all potent metaphors for the listener for their journey.
Yeah.
What do these specifically represent in this context?
Well, the dark night often symbolizes periods in our life
Yeah.
marked by confusion or doubt. spiritual obscurity.
Yeah.
The fear of the waves represents our turbulent inner struggles,
Okay.
our emotions, our desires, attachments. And the formidable whirlpool embodies the overwhelming nature of these challenges, the risk of being pulled under by distractions and turmoil.
And then there's that stark contrast with Sabak-Barani Sahela, the light-burdened ones of the shore.
Right.
Who do they represent?
Well, they represent those who haven't embarked on the deeper journey.
Right.
Those who remain kind of on the periphery, carefree and unaware of the struggles and longing of the seeker.
Yeah, so they just haven't faced those internal battles.
Right.
They haven't faced that yearning for the divine.
Where they don't have the experience to grasp the state of the seeker.
Yeah, and it really underscores that this is not a path for the casually curious.
Right.
This is serious business.
It demands dedication, and perseverance, and an understanding of the challenges.
Right.
It's going far beyond the superficial understanding of those who haven't begun to explore.
So as we conclude our deep dive into this opening Ghazal, it's clear from the very beginning that Hafez is presenting love.
Yeah.
Especially this mystical love we've been discussing, as a profoundly serious endeavor.
Right. It's a path likely filled with difficulty, demanding seriousness,
Yeah.
awareness, and guidance to help navigate towards union.
And it's a journey that holds the promise of immeasurable rewards.
Yes.
But certainly not without trials and tribulations along the way.
Right.
And even as we learned from Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani, even facing misunderstanding from those who are not on the path.
Yeah, that's a very real possibility.
Yeah.
For the seeker.
Yeah, so much contained in just these opening verses.
Right.
It's a beautiful tapestry of meaning that Hafez has woven together here.
Yeah, it really sets the stage for a much deeper and more intricate exploration of his understanding of love and the journey.
Yeah, it really makes you think about times in your own life when you felt that initial ease about something, only to encounter obstacles along the way. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great question for all of us to reflect on.
Yeah, how do these ideas about seeking deeper connection and knowledge resonate with your own experience?
Yeah.
Perhaps you have your own inner spring, your own moments of profound insight that might illuminate these themes in new ways for you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration of wisdom unveiled.